It's also really weird how it goes live, like exactly at, there's like no buffer. All right. Well, I think that we are live now. Hello, Marjorie. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you all joining us today. My name is Kayla from Sercante, and I will be moderating today's session. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items to cover. Yes, these sessions will be recorded and available on demand after the event. We will also be following up with them via email. If you do have a question, post it in the Q&A tab above. And then lastly, please use the chat. There's emojis, GIFs, more. If you have questions, pop them in there. We want to hear from you guys. So now let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Cara Clanton, who has an awesome session ready for us today all about boosting your business performance and revenue with B2B marketing analytics.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited. I'll go ahead and quickly, I don't know, Kayla, I probably should have pushed this slide faster for us to talk, but y'all, we just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors. We could not do this without you all. So I just want to say a quick thank you. But one, welcome. So excited to have you all here. I love the idea of this session because I think what makes me so excited about it is helping get buy-in as to why it's important to use tools like analytics to help boost, revenue, boost your process, your operations. And so our agenda today is really kind of setting up that thought process, right? So not only talking about why is it important to be thinking about having this data-driven mentality when you're wanting to help boost your revenue, right? But then also how does B2B MA play into that? And then importance of incorporating this into your strategy. And then I do want to do some real life examples. I think that's always super important. And then I do want to take some time at the end, Q&A. That's my personal favorite, is to be able to actually ask questions. And so I want y'all to, make sure, throw those in to the Q&A panel. And I'll try to take those as we're going along as well. But Kayla's got me covered there to kind of monitor and help us look through that. So with that being said, let's talk about the why. I think this is such a big, for me, I think it's always important in a presentation. And when you're talking through things like, why is this even important? Why do we want to think through this as a process? And so I want to talk about the significance of having a data-driven marketing process to help think through how that affects your bottom line and performance. So I want to start with some stats because, again, don't take my word for it. These are things that I think a lot of marketers feel. But some stats about how marketers feel about this data-driven reporting. Ones that jumped out for me are 38% of marketers are confident in their ability to use data to make marketing decisions. And that, to me, that absolutely blew my mind, where I think a lot of marketers have really good hunches, right? And I think you all probably feel the way, I know what is going to be important here, but being able to back that up with data a lot of times is that gap. And so I love this as a almost a stat into looking into what I think marketers want to focus on. Is they know that data is important, but a lot of times they don't have the confidence to know how to pull it or where it's coming from. Another big one is 62% of marketers say they lack the skills and knowledge to effectively use data. And this one also, I think, is probably a big significance as to why y'all might be here today thinking about B2B marketing analytics. A lot of times these tools that we use can feel scary and overwhelming. And whether it's, using CRM analytics specifically, or if you're even using things like Tableau or Marketing Cloud Intelligence, a lot of times that hurdle to get over to learn a new tool can seem scary to help get that insight. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And then 54% of marketers say they don't have the right tools and technology to even manage their data, right? So they're lacking some of those analytics tools to even help get the accurate data that they're wanting to help make these decisions. And so I think all of this is really important to kind of the lay of the land that marketers are feeling when it comes to reporting and analytics. So with that being said, why it is a benefit for, I think, most marketers to actually implement some sort of data-driven decision-making. And I know that sounds very buzzwordy. So I have some examples I'll show you all later too. But for me, there's a few things that I think jump out to this as to why this is important. So biggest one is like improved targeting and personalization. So data can really help businesses understand their target audience, thinking about that target audience's needs, some pain points, interest, and then that information can help you create that more targeted and personalized marketing components that then help you drive, whether that's bottom line performance of, hey, now I know that this channel is working really well, so I'm getting better ROI. Or it can even just help you perform, better process improvements. Hey, I see this blog post is doing really well. I want to do more of that. Or, hey, we did this marketing wheel process. Let's capitalize because it did so well. So it's helping you improve upon that. And I think efficiency is another one here around like not only your process, but resource allocation. And so by having that, again, data-driven mentality, it can help businesses identify which marketing channels help businesses and campaigns really push that bottom line, and really can help you allocate those resources to be more effective, again, with your investments. And then lastly, just a comprehensive customer insight. For this one, it jumps out to me is that data can help you gain a deeper understanding of your customers, of like behaviors, preferences, buying journeys. And then that can, again, be used to help improve your overall customer experience, help you boost sales. And so I think the theme we want to call out here is we're doing this based off data. We're not throwing, I always say, like throwing spaghetti against a wall and seeing what sticks. We're doing it based off data and following what our customers and trends are telling us. Again, I don't want to just like throw out buzzwords. I want to give us actual examples, right? So when we're going through these data-driven decisions, there are things that you can do right now that help towards your bottom line. So when we talk about targeting and personalization, like audience segmentation, right? A lot of times with targeted marketing campaigns, seeing that performance and seeing how that targeted campaign does is a way to improve upon that process. And having KPIs that match those campaigns and results, so you know what levers to pull. And what I mean by that is like, what actions are you going to take with this marketing process? I always try to communicate when I'm working with customers is like, what's your bottom line and action that you're going to take from that report? And I hope that's something we can take away from today is there should be some actionality, which is not a word, but there should be some action you want to pull with this to make that dashboard useful and sticky. Like, what are you going to do with it when you're looking at those KPIs? Well, and then obviously you're measuring ROI. Like if you're not tracking dollar value and doing it by channel and member responses, you're missing out on some, I'm going to call it low-hanging fruit, but it's ways for you that are built in right in Salesforce that you can then track in an analytics tool or even a Sales Cloud report to help you have that data-driven decision of like what's a good investment. And then little things that, again, can, I think, go such a long way is even simple A/B testing with like different designs or different calls to action. You can use those KPIs to drive which of your performance is working best or what campaign is working best, but you're tracking that and reporting those on those marketing tools. Right. So again, just a few examples here, and you all obviously know your business really intimately. You can really drive what you think is going to work best by putting these things into place and testing them. I think that's one recommendation I tend to give a lot of customers is it is okay if you don't know what exactly is going to be the right KPI right away. Just start, right? Put something on paper and track it. And then you're going to start seeing the data will show you where to go. So don't be afraid just to really get started. Okay, so all of that's kind of our why, right? We know that data can help lead us to improve our bottom line, improve those processes. But I also want to tie this back to how does B2B marketing analytics help us do that, right? So for anybody that jumped on there like, I've heard of B2B May. What is that? I don't know what it is. So basically, B2B marketing analytics is a CRM analytics app. And I want to call out real quick because we've changed the name, or Salesforce has changed the name at least 5 times of what CRM analytics is. So that can cause a lot of confusion. It's Analytics Studio. It's kind of the best way to think about it, but it's that CRM analytics is the system, right? Very similar to like how your iPhone has an operating system that powers all the things on your iPhone, right? An app is very similar to an app on your phone, right? If you want to play Angry Birds, you don't want to have to go build Angry Birds on your own, right? No, you want to download it so you can play and enjoy it. That's the same thought process behind these app templates. I don't want to have to go build out my dashboards and the different data sets that are being pulled from Pardot. I want the system to do it. And that's what this app template does. But what's great is it gives you insight into your marketing campaigns, performance, helps you do some of that benchmarking so you can see results and see where you want to improve. And what's nice is you can create your own custom dashboards and reports to meet those specific needs, which we'll get into in a little bit. So with that being said, how does B2B May tie back to that data-driven process, right? And so what this will allow us to do is really gain insight into your marketing performance, right? So specifically saying, I can actually look at what campaign has generated more leads. I can look at campaign influence and say which one is helping me close deals, or which one is the most touched through my even distribution. I can look at open rates through engagement and seeing performance that way. So there's all these items that, again, whether it's campaign influence and I'm looking at my ROI bottom line, so I can look at, hey, what's leading to deals closed? Or again, I'm looking at the specific assets themselves and saying, how can I improve upon those? B2B May has out-of-the-box items right out of the box that you can go ahead and start utilizing and implementing today to help you on this data-driven journey. So again, benefits here, right? So with that being said, why I think this is also important to keep in mind, because the question, or I guess the statement I always get here is like, but couldn't I just do that with a Sales Cloud report? And I do not disagree. There's a lot of benefits that you can get from a standard Sales Cloud report, right? I think both of them have their own place. But for me, what I have found in my time working with both tools is a lot of times in B2B marketing analytics, you're seeing those trends. And like the phrase I always use here that I think sets this really, really helpful distinction between these two is reporting. Like a Sales Cloud report is going to be the what happened, this opportunity closed, where an analytics is going to be more of the why. Okay, so why did that opportunity close? And so you're seeing those interactions and engagements a little bit easier. I think it's easier to filter and move quickly and pull that thread and come to those conclusions than it is with just a standard Sales Cloud report. Again, it's more efficient. And what I mean by that, I'm sure most of y'all have run through this, where you try to do a Sales Cloud report and it takes forever to load, or little things like that can eat up time. B2B May doesn't have that. What's nice is it's the way the system pulls, it's for that specific dashboard enhancements and runtime. So you don't really have that latency issues. But then also the goal in mind with a lot of these out-of-the-box dashboards is to have that data-driven success. It's built out so you can track things, whether it's through strategy of like account-based marketing or again, campaign influence. You have these like data points that we find are important in the marketing world already. They're built in and baked into these dashboards. So again, just a few things I think are important. Now there are, again, I want to give some examples going back to that. So I can identify most engaged leads by campaign. I can do that for my prospect and activities data set, which is really nice. Again, I can track campaigns with my ABM performance, and I can even do that with campaign influence and see specific campaigns that specific accounts have engaged with. You've got great insight into measuring ROI, looking at campaign member responses. If you want to pull that in as a data set and have a dashboard around that, those are items that you can also pull in. But then also, like specifically within B2B MA, you can look at pipeline and lead source insight, looking at your lead generation efforts. So each of these are available options for you to, again, track that data. So you're seeing your baseline, that benchmarking, and seeing what improvements and testing. Hey, I want to try this improvement to see if I can get a better result out of this specific campaign. And now you've got that trending to see if that tracks, because you've got these dashboards helping you set that up. So with that being said, let's give you a few other examples. So I want to do kind of two sections here. So the first one is, okay, within B2B MA, what are some KPIs or processes, questions of our data that can help influence that bottom line or business process? So going back to that original, like, what are ways that data-driven processes can help us be more efficient? So again, we talked about that customer insight, segmentation, thinking about targeted and personalizations. So from here, I can track things like by my accounts, like what's activity is in my top accounts engaging with, right? I think that's really important, especially if you have that ABM process. You want to see if there are certain campaigns that are or activities that your top accounts are engaging with. Well, how can I replicate that to, again, improve upon that bottom line? I worked with a customer that we were using the account-based marketing dashboard. And one thing we did was we literally would look at, hey, here are my top 5 accounts that closed that I want to replicate. And then what we did is we cloned that dashboard and then said, here's the top 5 accounts that I'm working with sales that I want to go after. And what they did is, and we looked back and forth of what campaigns did those original 5 engage with, and worked with the marketing team and sales to actually strategize of how can I push those out to these new top 5 campaigns of who I want to go after for those accounts. And so, but I'm using these based off like data. I'm not saying, you know what, I think this customer really liked this, let's go with it. We're doing it and basing it, backing it off of data. So another one is helping you identify your most qualified leads. So whether you're tracking your MQL process, or if you're looking at SQL, ways to break that down and review those type of prospects, I think is also really key. Looking at their lead sources to know where they're coming from, I think is also a channel process that you can use to help improve where you're spending, right? If I know that Google Ads is performing better than Bing, which I would not be surprised, but let's say it is, then you probably want to put more spend behind behind Google and less behind Bing. So you have that, but you have data backing that. You're not just making a guess. And then obviously, like improved customer targeting. I'm seeing what they're engaging with, what forms are they, filling out. We're looking at these different calls to action that our customers are providing us, if that makes sense. Like they're hand raising, say, hey, I'm engaging with this. Take that data and capitalize on it, right? Take that data and put into action. From there, it really, I think, transitions nicely to talk about like a lot of those targeting and segmentation should transition to like your campaign performance as well, because we want to put those specific prospects through the right campaign that they're engaging with, or that we want them to engage with based off where they're at in that buying cycle. So big one here is like campaign performance tracking, content marketing, right? This is like all in on for my content marketers. Looking at that engagement dashboard is so powerful to say, like, again, if I change CTA, if I change colors, did I round the button on that landing page? All of that are things to see, like you're tracking over time, that improvement. I love the campaign influence dashboard for channel efforts. So, because it breaks it down by type, which I think is really helpful for you to know, okay, these types of campaigns are really resonating for my lead generation. Maybe it's a webinar, it's really high lead generation, but turns out your customer referrals is what actually is helping you close deals. And you're looking at that based off last touch. And so you're able to move quickly and derive that, that correlation. I talked about this a little bit, but I want to hit it again around your ABM campaigns. So being able to know what campaigns are effective for different accounts. I've even have people who got more detailed with this and broke out a custom dashboard and did it by industry with specific accounts as well, which I think was also really brilliant. Obviously, this is going to help you nurture your leads more effectively with campaigns, knowing which campaigns. Like I always think about Engagement Studio here. If I have this really elaborate Engagement Studio program, I want to see what paths a lead is taking. And if there's something that's helping me nurture those leads more effectively, I want to replicate that and put that into process and make sure more people are following that path. But again, I'm doing it based off the data that I'm seeing in analytics. And then obviously improved operational efficiency. So I think this again kind of goes back to where are you spending your time in creation. So with certain campaigns, was the creation worth the effort? I think you could put operational efficiency in a lot of different buckets, but for me, I think it comes down to, I spent a lot of time on this ebook and it really didn't yield a lot of closed won opportunities. Okay, well then let's change it up. What worked from it, what didn't? Baking that into that retrospective, I think is key. ROI measurement, this is like pipeline all day long. And so this lets you see like any pipeline trends through sources, things like that. It actually lets you even look at expected and actual campaign budget if you want to pull that in to see some ROI efficiencies with that. Visitor conversions, this one comes up, I kid you not, all the time. But I always hit this of like distribution, right? If you're seeing a bottleneck on your pipeline dashboard and you see between visitors and prospects, there's a velocity key. And it's like, you know what? I think I'm missing a big distribution point here because there's a big bottleneck. Well, how would you know where to see that if you didn't have it right there on that dashboard, right? So it's little things like that, like you're missing out on leads. Like once they convert, they're doing really well, but we want to make that faster. So that's little things that can make a big difference. I also have people who've built in a dashboard that help them look at leads in a specific hierarchy as well by campaigns, but that allows you to get really specific with different campaign information. Like if you have, again, specific campaign types. I have a customer, and I thought this was brilliant, had different levels of their campaigns. So they knew what hierarchy it was, and they were analyzing comparison of different levels. So all of this, I think, is really, really important to keep in mind when you're thinking about ROI measurements. So how do you incorporate this into your actual strategy, right? So it's easy to go look at those dashboards, but how do you make sure you're using them and you're effectively putting this into play? So assess your needs. Again, I know this is really silly, but like, what do you need to report on? What is it that you feel like is missing? And that's always a question I start and ask customers. What do you feel like is missing from your reporting process? What keeps you up at night, right? And a lot of times that's a great place to start. If you even have dashboards that aren't working in like a Sales Cloud, start there. Hey, these are things I feel like are missing from this dashboard, and you might find are able to answer in analytics. Get buy-in from stakeholders. This comes up all the time. I think, especially between the sales and marketing, is like everybody get on the same page. And that's, I think, can be super, super key. Clean and prepare your data. This is probably a marketer's like worst nightmare, but like if the data is not accurate, the data is not there, you can't report on it. So this is so key. Make sure you have clean data. And if you haven't installed B2B MA yet, do it. You're not going to miss anything. It's not going to like mess up. There's so low stakes to turn it on. And I think you're going to get a lot of insight on it. So go ahead, install it, train your teams to use it as well. And then obviously like use that data, put it into your marketing process, have those retrospectives and things like that to really make it sticky. So again, a few like just things that have come up that I think are helpful, like start small. It does not have to be this like revolutionary process to baking this in. Do little pilots. If you want, like use what is out of the box. You don't have to start building out these super big dashboards that are going to revolutionize. That's not the key. It's start small, get comfortable, and build build upon it. Integrate with other Salesforce objects is a great way to like push us to the next level. I've talked about campaigns a lot, but there's so many other objects that you might be using day in and day out that you can, again, that can benefit from the use of analytics. And then again, review it, check that data, get feedback from those stakeholders, help get that buy-in will make, like I said, a world of difference. Again, a couple of bits of advice is have a consistent source of truth. I had somebody tell a really brilliant story that has stuck with me just the other day. He was saying he was like a VP of marketing, and he went into this sales and marketing meeting and was so excited. He was like, we as a marketing team got 60% influence of these closed won opportunities this year. We are so excited. And the sales VP turned around and says, that's interesting because I got 80% of the closed won opportunities. The math is not mathing, right? So, but what happened is like that consistent source of truth of what was reporting was different. So we got to make sure it's consistent. And then think about the story you're trying to tell. I think that's also super important. I mentioned this earlier, but like reporting should be accompanied with an action. So what are you going to do when you build out that dashboard? And hey, if the data isn't there, like expected budget, things like that, use automations. There's things like flows and even completion actions and account engagement that could help you automate a lot of that. And then lastly, again, like share it in meetings. Have that as a part of your marketing retrospectives. Take it to leadership. That's what helps get this sticky. More eyes on it help you get that feedback. And then you can, reiterate it and get a lot. So real quick, I want to show you just a few real life examples, and then we'll open up for a few Q&A here. So a marketing operations admin report, like this to me is so key. So like if you have fields that are missing budget, like here's how many campaigns are actually missing the budget. Here's how many leads are not in account engagement. Ops that are missing contact roles, talk about like a nightmare, right? That would make me cry. You're missing data if you don't have that there. But these are things that you can keep a check on. And again, as a marketing admin, have that ready to spot check. And then like form errors also, things that can just make you a lot more efficient. Again, going back to that like efficient process and boosting this process, having it there to report on it makes a world of difference. Demand lead generation. So you can have campaign details and account engagement details all on a specific dashboard. I think this is also like showing you quantity and dollar value of what's coming in the pipe is a great way to look at demand generation. And then quality and dollar value. I put up the engagement because I think this is an important one. Like a lot of these are going to be out of the box, but you can also use pipeline and source to look at lead generation in there as well and look at dollar value. So some of those out of the box are super powerful too. Sales and marketing dashboards. So these are going to be things where you're looking at a combination of, contacts or opportunities created from those campaigns. These are all things that are important to help you with that bottom line. Again, opportunities one, but I want to see which opportunities. I want those total dollar values. And then like things that we want to look at, like trends of what types of ops have been won, and then the percentage of follow-ups from sales by campaign members are all things that are super powerful. And then again, recap, and hopefully we have enough time for Q&A, Kayla, but like have a data-driven mentality with KPIs you track, incorporate those B2B made dashboards for easier benchmarking and quick time to results. Build in analytics as part of your marketing process. And then obviously the review, get feedback, get buy-in. And then you have a unified process together to help boost those end results. So questions quickly. I love it.
That was great, Cara. Thank you. We did have a couple questions in the Q&A.
Sure.
I think I got most of them.
Brilliant.
One question in particular came through the chat, and I know we are running out short on time here. For measuring ROI, any thoughts when selling through distribution and can't directly attribute sales to a specific campaign?
That comes up all the time. And I feel like it always comes back to where's the budget for that coming from? And I know that sounds silly, but truthfully, it's like, if it's the website, okay, well, how much are you paying for your website every year? Right? Or if it's like content you're creating, okay, well, think about how much hours are spent on that for like, I know this is kind of crass, but like a salary, right? For that person who has been, there's always way to kind of derive that budget. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you got to get something on paper. And that makes a world of difference. And y'all, great questions about where can you find more resources. And I wish like we had more time because I could go into this speech for like 2 hours. Tons of resources out there. I think the best one is to look like there should be some, like, I think on YouTube is probably the best I would say start with.